House to Home, presented by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
All right, everybody, we are talking about probate, those 7 little letters that when they put a word together, a lot of people were like, yeah, maybe I should change the channel, but do not. Okay, stay on this page, stay on YouTube, do everything, because Gina is here, and we're talking about why this is so critically important. I mean, we've talked about probate like 9,000 times on this, but
it comes up so often with families.
And I'm actually wondering something. You and I were talking like a few weeks about this, and I was like, why don't we turn this into a segment? If a piece of property is stuck in probate or held up in probate, meaning the judge has to decide what to do with it, or it's up to the court's discretion to say, here's who it goes to, can you begin the sales process and at least like be soliciting interested buyers when it's still in probate, or is that illegal? Is it just
No, you can. You can. Well, here's where that comes up often. When you have family members and you've got a piece of property that cannot be, like for instance, the family member, there's more family members than there is property. So you cannot cut up, like if there's only 3 people and there's 3 pieces of property, then maybe the family can say, listen, let's just distribute this. We don't want to sell. Because I run into that a lot, families who don't want to sell. Sentimental, property, we're meant to pass it down to our kids, but like I've got a situation where I've got a piece of property and there's 25 family members left, okay? They're all going to inherit the property, but the property is not big enough to cut it up into 25 usable, and I want to stress usable pieces. Equal parcels. Equal parcels or just legally usable. The property isn't big enough for that to work. So if you go to probate, yes, they can tell their attorney, listen, it'd be more effective for us to just sell it while we're in court. So we can either sell it to a family member who has the means and the desire to buy the property from the rest of us, from the 25 members. Because what happens is the alternative to that is your lawyer will distribute the property. So you go through probate. So you paid the fees and you process through the court. And then the court essentially says, okay, you 25 people own this property now. That's a royal mess. So in my situation, I have that piece of property. They inherited, 25 people inherited that piece of property. So now they own it. The court did the distribution and gave it to them. And they've come to say, Gina, we can't really, we can't cut it up and each of us use it. And the other factor was they didn't have the money to do that either. They paid for the probate, which is in itself an expensive process, and then they went to the surveyor, and the surveyor said, hey, there's not enough of this for me to cut it up, and each of you will get a property that you can really use. It would be too small for it to be usable, right? Can't build anything. And the government won't allow us to cut it up like that. So you got to sell it together. All of you get together. So they came to me, and then I was going through the documents, and I said, wait, where's this person? We're missing a person. Oh, don't worry, that person's gone, so it'll just be between 24 people. It doesn't work that way because that person owned a share of this whole. There was 25 of you that received it from the distribution. So now you've got to get that person's interest. That somebody has to sign for that person. And they were thinking the 24 people could sign on behalf of that 25th. Doesn't work that way. Right. You've got to go to court now. You have to open probate for that particular person so that his interest can go to whoever his heirs are. And the other thing is probate, just by nature of the fact that it's a legal transaction, it's going to cost a lot. Certainly way more than if you would like put a will and like your intent to do it together. But more to the point, it also can take a very long time. It could take a long time, especially when you have so many people involved. Because like in this particular case, only maybe 5 of them are on island, the rest are wherever they are. But I'm glad you brought up that word, the will. When you have a will, it doesn't mean you avoid probate. It just means when you get to the probate, the judge has a better idea or a specific request. Hey, my property is going to go to Jason. Here was the intent of the now deceased, That's right. Whatever. This is what I wanted. I'm sorry. Is probate also possible for like divorced couples or people that No. One becomes incapacitated or? So if you're getting a divorce, you work it out amongst the 2 of you and your attorneys, right? Okay. This is just specifically for someone who passed away. Okay. and did not think in advance, because there's different ways to handle this, but probate is for the person who had a will or just passed away without one. You have to go through probate.
What if somebody up and like disappears and, you know, becomes like a fugitive, or, you know?
Oh, that's a completely different segment.
Okay, no, we'll do that next week. But
we deal with that as well.
No, I'm
Real
sure you've
estate,
seen
you deal
everything
with
under the sun.
everything, yeah.
Yeah, like
yeah, but that's a different segment. But this is for people who had a will and they've passed or didn't have a will. And all I'm saying is, if there's too many of you, you really should sit down with your attorney and talk about perhaps selling it while you're in court, whether you sell it to the open public or you sell it to each other. But you got to take care of that instead of just distributing it to 25 people or less.
And not to editorialize, but I've got some experience going through probate too, and
that's right.
Yeah, and it's an experience.
It's an experience. It takes a lot of thought, and it's a process.
All right. Well, thanks so much. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
We'll talk about that one and, you know, like the whole other side of what could possibly happen. So thanks so much for your input.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for watching. But we got to run, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Captioning is brought to you by IT&E.